great to see you back. I know you were out for a little while, healing and getting some things and
Yes.
dealing with some things, but now you're back and you're ready to go in the studio.
I am ready to go. Today, I wanted to talk to our listeners about what People Talk To is all about.
Okay.
I wanted them to know that, first of all, let me tell you a little bit more about myself. My name is Miyoshi Levy, formerly of Akron, Ohio. I've been there for about 40 years. I have 6 sons, George, Greg, Juliana, Justin, Giovanni, and TL. They're all adult men with beautiful families. We've been in church most of my life, and I just wanted to let you all know that this program, People Talk To, is a program for the public. This is a platform that is set up for new businesses or any events that you might have that you would like to get out into the public. Since I returned to Cleveland, I was living in Georgia and in Dayton for a small period of time, and coming back, I recognized there's a need here in our area for communication, getting the word out, whether it's an event, whether it's news. We need, as a community here, to talk more and to dialogue more. The people that I found that have the strongest needs are just people like you and me. We see each other at work, we see each other at church, but we don't really necessarily know what's going on right on our own streets and in our own neighborhoods. Cleveland is a great place to be.
You know, that's an interesting thing you bring up. Why aren't we as neighborly as we was back in the 50s, 60s, and even the 70s?
I think it's our culture, don't you? I think
Yeah.
we're in a culture of change. I mean, now we have technology that keeps us divided, even in your own home. The children, you have to tell them to put those gadgets down. And I think that the racial divide here, too, is just so much information. The information technology is so vast that we are depending more on this gadget or these gadgets as opposed to talking to one another. And it's really causing separation in the homes and in the churches and in the schools. I just think we need to reevaluate our usage of technology. What do you think?
Well, you know, me being a social media broadcaster, I love the fact that people are getting their information from, their iPhones and their iPads. And
But
stuff
Larry,
like that.
wait a minute. Don't you think that as a parent, okay, or a grandparent, that we would like to see our kids more and talk to them more, or?
Well, of course, but this is just an enhancement of that. I mean, for instance, my grandchildren, if they're in Atlanta or someplace of that nature, and back in the day I had to dial. Now I can actually see them on Facebook or see them on FaceTime, and actually they can.
But
see
you
my,
know what? It is a barrier to people that have real problems. Like, let's just say, for instance, the kids have serious issues that they didn't feel like they could share over the internet or over these social medias.
Well, see now, our generation don't see it like that.
That's
We're with you. We're like, okay, you know what? I'm not going to put my business out there on social media. However, young people, they live by this stuff. This is how they communicate.
But did you know, with social media now, with bullying and all these other, because it is an instrument, and these kids think that the Facebook friends are really their friends.
Right,
You might have 2,000 or 3,000 friends. And how can you believe that these are your actual friends? And they were talking about the guys that haven't these, what did they call it? These underground organizations going on. It's a lot going on. People are luring children with these social media things.
Right.
And I mean, the guy that just got in trouble for the skinhead guy. I'm just saying, we have got to figure out a way to keep communication more visible or more viable to everybody, and not just this
Well, that's what
gadget.
but this is what the gadget is for. This is what social media is for. So social media puts us together. As a matter of fact, I have friends logging on right now that I haven't seen in a couple years, but guess what? They're listening to the show. So I think social media and things that we do are great ways of connecting and staying connected.
Well, considering the fact that I'm 60 years old and the fact that a lot of us over 55-year-old people were not brought up in the computer generation, and some of us are still bucking it. We still need to get out here and learn how to use these gadgets to make them to our benefit. I'm on this program right now.
Right, you're on this gadget right now.
On this gadget right now
Okay.
because I'm recognizing the usefulness of it. And I'm on the, while we're on this subject, I think that people that are in my age bracket and older should come into the real world because this is the real world now.
Sure, absolutely. And you know, I agree with you in regards to actually, you know, seeing people and touching them and hugging them. And that's just as important. But this is an enhancement of those times when you can't get to them or see them.
I think about people that are in jail. I think they do have access to the radio, so they also have access to the internet, some of them. When I think about people that land up in the hospitals, they also can use this multimedia systems, but I'm not trying to be the devil's advocate. I'm just speaking the truth. A lot of people that are in my age group are not going to run to computers to communicate. We still like you to pick up the telephone and dial and say, I just called to say I love you.
You know, I agree with you on that, but I have found that there are people your age, my age, because I'm only 57 also. It seems like when you get into the 70s, older 70s, they're less likely to log on to Facebook or even have a Facebook account. But those under that age tends to have them. As a matter of fact, Facebook is for the old folks, the young people say.
Yeah, well, I
Right.
tell you what, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, my mom's Googling somebody or
There you
finding
go.
somebody
Really?
on Facebook.
Okay,
Yeah.
there you go. Your mom is doing
My
this.
mom is doing
And
it.
you 60.
And my grandson told me,
Okay.
Grandma can FaceTime me. And he's talking about my mom.
Right.
Can FaceTime him.
Right,
And I haven't
right.
learned how to FaceTime yet.
Oh, wow. So your mom got you beat already.
She got me beat already.
Hmm,
Hey, changing the subject, I wanted to go back to Cleveland.
Sure.
I was looking at some facts about Cleveland that I don't know if our listeners know about it, but Cleveland had the first shopping mall to open was in Cleveland at the Cleveland Arcade, and it was in 1890. So we have great shopping here. And you told me something about your daughter. What's the name of her?
Kathy's. Yay, Kathy's ice cream cookie sandwich shop.
In the arcade. That's awesome.
Yes.
Another fact was that Cleveland is the birthplace of Superman.
That's right.
Okay, it said that Jerry Siegel, who just recently passed on, was here and went to Glenville High School.
Okay.
Cleveland it says the modern golf ball was invented in Cleveland.
Okay.
The guy that invented, Charles F. Bush, you know, we got the high school after Bush.
Right.
He full body scanners and x-ray machines. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame that we love. They just recently did a great induction.
Okay.
Alan Freeman, the DJ, was here. And we have many, many celebrities from here.
And you can't forget Garrett Morgan,
Garrett Morgan. Oh, yeah.
the inventor of the stoplight and gas mask and many other more things.
Yes, we have
From
some great
Cleveland.
inventors from Cleveland, Ohio. What about our entertainers that came from here?
Oh man, it's too many to name, but go ahead.
Bob Hope, Halle Berry, Drew Carey, Arsenio Hall. Who else?
Terrence Howard.
Terrence Howard, the guy that was on Carol Burnett show,
Which one?
the little short one that was in McHale's Navy.
Oh yeah. I know you're talking about. I just can't remember his name. Right
He
off
was from.
If anybody know the name, if anybody know the name of the guy that's from the Carol Burnett show that's from Cleveland, go ahead and text that to us, and we'll be happy to add your name on the air. Unfortunately, we don't have no gifts to give you, but at least we'll give you a shout out.
Okay, well, we have some great movies here. Cleveland produced the movies like A Christmas Story, Men in Black was here, The Avengers was here, plane, trains, and automobiles were filmed here, and we just recently had a filming done by what's his name, Macaulay? I can't pronounce his name.
Macaulay Culkin?
Yes.
Whatever his name
Okay.
is. Mm-hmm.
He just did a film here this summer. We got a lot, and we have Caramoo House. We got the Playhouse Square. What else we got downtown? We have a lot of theater. We have a lot of theater. We have a lot of theater in different locations, different areas. But what I like most about Cleveland, and anybody that knows me, know I go straight to Lake Erie. I go to the lake. It hasn't moved. Of all the other things that have changed, Lake Erie stays the same. It is comforting. You can get food there. You get to see families out there. It's beautiful in the summertime. The best breezes. You can sit and read a book.
Yes.
Great parks by the lake. I just had to throw that in because it's one of my favorite places to go.
Awesome.
Cleveland. Cleveland has the Cuyahoga River.
Right.
And what's the biggest memory on the Cleveland Cuyahoga River, though, that you can recall?
The biggest memory?
Of the Cuyahoga River that you personally recall.
Oh, you mean the fire on the lake,
Yes.
on the river?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
But it's clean now. I mean,
People fish there.
Yeah, people fish, people boat ski.
And they
jet
have
ski
the
and
Nautica. That was another stage just right there on Cuyahoga River.
And one of my favorite restaurants, Shooters.
Shooters on the Flats. Yes, that's Cleveland. That's Cleveland. And what else is near the lake that people might want to plug into the sea?
Well, you got KZ used to be inside the Burke Lakefront Airport back in the day, about 2 or 3 years ago.
Oh, really?
That's where we were for several years. And then, of course, you got the submarine that's down there.
On the pier, 9th Street Pier.
SS Cod or something like that.
Yes. It's a museum. It's a
museum,
museum.
a submarine museum.
And the Brown Stadium.
Well, we'll pass over that.
No, we won't pass over the Brown Stadium because we are Cleveland Brown fans. We're the best fans in the land. There's no fans like the Cleveland Brown fans.
That's right. We are the only ones that always say next year. Next year.
Well, you know what? We're going to celebrate the Browns this Sunday at my son's house.
Okay.
We're doing a Super Bowl Browns wish party.
Wow, that should be great. A Super Bowl Browns wish party.
We're wishing that
Miyoshi's son's house.
That we are wishing that we would go to the Super Bowl one day.
We wish you a Merry Christmas.
Okay, in Cleveland, Cleveland is internationally recognized.
How so?
Well, we have the Cleveland Orchestra.
Okay.
And we have Cleveland Fashion Week.
Okay.
Cleveland is internationally recognized. We have the biggest hospital system, one of the biggest hospital systems in the world.
Well, what did that tell you about the Cleveland residents?
Oh, well, they can have a job. Let's put it like
There you go. Okay.
Cleveland Clinic.
Oh, yeah.
And university hospitals and the VA hospital.
And you can't forget Metro.
And, my favorite, Metro General Hospital had children there.
Oh, wow.
So I'll plug that one. And they have the Baby Rainbows and Children's Hospital here in Cleveland. Cleveland is a really good place for families. Right. And you know what? Cleveland has what's the 2 bridges that separate the east side from the west side?
Or are you talking about the Hope Memorial Bridge and the Superior Bridge?
The Superior Bridges, both of those bridges take you to 2 different lands.
Well,
but they're both Cleveland.
Right. Yeah, they're both different. But you know, there's a lot of development going on in the city of Cleveland as well that we should probably let people know. I was talking to a contractor the other day, and he was saying that there's a 90% occupancy in downtown Cleveland. That's why they're building
90% occupancy?
90% occupied.
Young or old? It didn't say the demographic, huh?
The demographic in regards to
age.
Oh, well, that's funny you say that. It is a lot of young people moving back, and a lot of empty nesters moving back into the city.
That is beautiful.
Isn't that something?
That is beautiful. I was told that there are a lot of people from other countries trying to buy into the city as well.
Oh, yeah.
Investors.
Yeah. My son handles a lot of investors, every all the way from Australia to Israel.
Yes.
They're buying up property because where else can you get 20% on your dollar?
Well, you know what? If we were smart enough, we'd jump in on those real estate investments quickly.
Gotcha.
Quickly. One of the other things.
Which you got to give a shout out to Blot.
Oh, my home skillet.
There you go.
Blot. Blot. If it wasn't for Blot, I would not be on this program at all, because that's where I met you, my friend.
That's right.
I met you at Blot, and I got to give a shout out to our Montana and Vernon Tyus, our leaders at Blot. And Blot teaches you how to start your nonprofit and your for-profit business, as well as doing real estate investments, and the list goes on. And I also would like to mention the great churches that we have here in Cleveland area.
Okay, but now before you do that, tell us about an event you just came from.
I just came from the most fantastic event. It was a women's retreat in Avon. And at the retreat, it was talking about unspoken issues or brokenness that women had. I was so deeply moved, touched, and impressed because of the movement of God at this meeting. There were at least 40 women there from different areas of this, not just of the city of Cleveland, but of the state, northeastern Ohio. And our leader was Dr. Lynette Graddick, and she's a licensed practicing counselor. And she also had other psychologists there to minister and to help the women professionally work on their issues. And each person brought to them what was kind of like bothering them. And I was telling her about my brother's death. And because sometimes when you suffer losses, you really need help to get over that hurdle of pain. And I'm telling you, it was so great, because I think I kind of got my help, because the counselor that spoke to me told me, take your time and grieve. There is no time frame. Amen. Which sometimes as Christians, we feel like we're just supposed to go to God, get over it, lay that at the altar. But I felt like my help came because she said, just take your time. Grief is a process. And I needed to hear that, because I kept feeling like I was a crybaby and a little weakling. But that she said that was your brother. That's so right. I appreciated that so much. And Amen. Other women came. It was called Unspoken. And people had an opportunity to speak with the counselors about the things that they might not say to anybody else, those little secret places. And I saw deliverance all over the place. And we had an opportunity at this Unspoken retreat to do role playing and really just to love on one another as like a great big sisterhood. And I think that is so comely and so needed. And I think men need to do the same thing.
Amen. Amen.
I think they really do need to do the same thing. Now, what was we talking about before?
Churches. You want to talk about the great churches in the city.
Look, you know what? Today they laid down the bishop of one of the Cleveland Catholic churches, Bishop Lennon. I want to make sure that I mention him tonight, and to the Catholic family. And we have many great Protestant and non-denominational churches. We have some famous churches. Is the Olivet Institutional Baptist Church?
Amen. Part
of the Civil Rights Movement. Let me think. Cleveland Church of Christ. What's the name of your church, Pastor?
Greater Grace.
Greater Grace. Great churches. And I think that if you're a visitor, you will be very, very, very welcome at these places. And I think you'll be very satisfied. Here in this area, you have Kaz Radio. At Kaz Radio.
K-A-Z Radio.
K-A-Z
TV
Radio
Network.
And TV. And you are more than welcome to come and speak with Larry. And it's your inspirational station. We really would like, on my particular program, to showcase people that are our unsung heroes on our streets, in our neighborhoods, that represent us. And even if it's a school teacher, if it's an aunt or uncle, if it's a child that did something that you think ought to be showcased, We really want us to have this opportunity to just go on and share this, because people don't know what they don't know.
Right.
I mean, sometimes I just think, like, when you look at the daily news, looking at the daily news, we get this information of all the bad stuff that happens up in Cleveland and across the nation. But it's so nice when we can just have a conversation about something that was good that happened right around the corner and down the street.
Amen.
We
Amen.
have PNC connections. We have the neighborhood connections. We have organizations here. We have the Urban League. We have the NAACP. We have the Jewish Women's Federation group. We have a lot of organizations available in the city. We have Ronald McDonald House. We have things that you can volunteer and get a part of. We got the food bank. It's a lot of things that a person can do that's new here in town.
Yeah, Cleveland's a great place. As a matter of fact, coming up this December, for those that would like to volunteer, the mayor's food basket will be occurring one of these Saturdays. You can probably log on to City Hall and find out when, because they're always looking for volunteers to help stuff those bags for those who come get those groceries. So,
You know what I just found out?
What's that?
Found out about at the PNC, they have a class where it's a new authors class. It's a book writing class.
Okay.
And because we found out so many people are interested in using the internet to write their own books. I think our generation really does need to pass down to our children reading and writing.
Okay.
So at PNC, they are teaching classes on writing your own books.
You know what? I figured out the name. Tim Conway.
Tim Conway.
There you go. See?
Clevelander,
It
yes.
takes a minute. It takes a minute, but the old brain gets to working, you know.
Yeah, it took you a while. The show is almost over.
I sure did.
Yes, you heard that comment. The show is almost over, and you just figured it out. That's all right. Better you than me. One of the most wonderful things that I found is KAZ radio, because I just think that we could connect the dots if people come together. If people would just come together and communicate, there are so many needs out here.
That's right.
There's so much available to us to help one another. I met a young lady her name is Honey Bell Bay, and she works with youth.
Wow.
I met and they do spoken word. They do
Right.
spoken word, and I also met a person by the name of Mr. Simmons, and he works with families that are working with troubled youth.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, if people would just find themselves coming together, there are people there that are willing to help you and willing to work with you. I met a young lady by the name of Miss Winfrey. She's starting a music school.
Well, she's been doing it for quite a while. You know, she's pretty.
And I told her, I said, if you would just come on the show and let people know that you're here and where they can reach you. I'm sure that people are looking for teachers to assist in that work.
Right.
And we also have a couple of people that are working with people that have special needs. What is it called? Handicap? I don't know what they call people with special needs and disabilities now. But there are special groups for them too as well up in the city. I'm just telling you right now, I'm still in a love affair with Cleveland, because when I drive down the streets, when I go to the old neighborhoods, Martin Luther King Boulevard is still a beautiful place to ride down by the VA hospital. And you know what's something I noticed? The people are not walking like they used to when we was kids.
What do you mean they're not walking?
They don't walk. When we were kids, we had to walk to get to where we had to go.
Oh yeah, well now they got Ubers and scooters and lifts and buses and trains and airplanes and everything.
I just think some of the stuff that you miss, that you see when you're walking, you miss when you're riding.
But you know, technology is here for a reason.
But you know what? We get to see our neighbors when we walk down the street, wave at them. say hello. This is one more thing I want to say to our audience is that I hope that we become more neighborly, knock on the door and tend to the old people, that we look and see if there's a need. And I mean, they do every Christmas commercial is about giving somebody something special. You know, whether it's bringing them a pie or cake. I think we could do that all year round if we made an effort.
Well, you know, there are neighborhoods that do that. I mean, really, they are. I mean, there's tons of neighborhoods that do that. Maybe they're not doing it in your neighborhood. Maybe you need to get it started over in your neighborhood.
I think I should. No, one of the first things I start is just saying hello to everybody.
Right. Exactly.
Hi. Wave. Hi. How you doing? Because that's the only way you're gonna know who's living there.
Right.
And I was speaking to a friend of mine. He's now ministering to some nursing facilities. Okay. And he said he wished more people would come out and just offer hellos to senior citizens because they are not, they are left behind. Amen. So I'm just saying we should do a little bit more during this holiday season. And People Talk is a show about talking to one another, fellowshipping one another, articulating a clear message to one another, and just being together and loving on one another. I think that I'm hoping that Miyoshi Levy has come across to let you all know that that's what I'm really all about. If there's anything Miyoshi Levy can do to help you, my phone number is 330-926-6126. And if you can't get me at that number, I'm sure you can reach me at KAZ Radio anytime. And I just want to be available to you and to offer this platform to you and your group. If you have any type of events planned that you'd like to have mentioned on the program, please let me know. Next week, I hope to have an author by the name of Dr. Wanda Coleman to come in and speak with you all on the release of her new book. Again, I'd like to just say thank you all for your support and even for you all tuning in tonight to see me one more time. And I am feeling much better.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, Larry, for everything. This has been a blessing to me and my family.
Well, we want to thank you again, Miyoshi, for just sharing People Talk 2 with our audience. And folks, if you want more information, all you got to do is give us a call at 216-298-1554. Until next week, God bless.
Have a good one. God bless.